Cute.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Good afternoon and welcome. Muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos sean todos. Welcome to HETS 2025 Virtual Best Practices Showcase, celebrating technology innovation for Hispanic success in higher education. We welcome all the participants connected through the internet for this live transmission. My name is Albert Troche from Interamerican University in Bayamón, and I will be your host this afternoon. First, HETS would like to acknowledge the presence of the presidents and board members representatives of each member institution from Puerto Rico, United States, Colombia, and Ecuador accompanying us today. To all of you, thank you for sharing this special occasion with us. Also, we have more than 130 participants registered for the conference from more than 25 institutions in Puerto Rico, the US, and Latin America so far. We have almost 100 connected by Zoom. Participants are connected, and we have more than 40 participants in person at EDP University at Torrey campus. Thank you for your support to this conference and interest. HETS would like to recognize the collaboration and support of EDP University, who helped us make this conference possible. We thank them for the technical support and unwavering commitment with all the presenters, who will be sharing their initiatives, either a live session or an asynchronous presentation. We're deeply grateful for your support. This historic event brings together, for the 50th time in HETS Chronicles, an unprecedented amount of experts, academicians. This outstanding group of professionals will be creating extraordinary synergy, highlighting the most prominent opportunities to enhance higher education through the savvy use of technology. Now, please join me welcoming Engineer Gladys Nieves, President of EDP University and Head Chair of the Board. Dr. Nieves was elected Chair of the Board of Directors of the HETS Consortium during the summer board meeting of June 2024. And she is the first chairwoman of HETS. So let's welcome Engineer Gladys Nieves.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Buenas tardes a todos. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you to the 2025 first Virtual Best Practices Showcase. All of you that have been here during the morning, and also those that are with us virtually. As the new chair of the HETS Consortium, I'm proud to bring you for the first time to EDP University, our main campus here in the San Juan's Financial District of Atorrey, where I've been president for the last 28 years. And it's also my first board meeting, and we've also paid those dues this morning as chair of HETS. This university was the dream of my father. He was the founder and also my mother, and we honor them. They wanted to set up a university for computer programmers back in the 60s. So right now, our biggest program is a hybrid program where students start online their nursing program and come to Puerto Rico for their rotations, for their practical rotations. And that has brought us to HETS back in 2008. And we've been a member ever since. So since my last board meeting, in the last board meeting where I was presented as in Medellin, Colombia, as your new chair, I have focused on moving forward collaborations regarding not only technology, but also student mobility to bring students to new opportunities, bilingual opportunities for their development. So it's my pleasure to bring also new members to the organization. And we have been focusing on that because we want to grow our network, but we want to know whatever we have in common. And we are Hispanic, education, technology, and student services. That's our main goal. Obviously, we have new members here present. Dr. Sayira Jordan, who's from Atlantic University College, is here present with us. We also have the Ponce Health Science, which was part of the student mobility presentation last September. And we have also a community college in Oregon. I always forget the name, but you know who you are. So in terms of corporate partners, we also welcome...
Community College.
Okay, gracias. Repeat it.
Chemeteca Community College.
Thank you. I have the name here, but I didn't. Well, so in terms of our corporate partners, we welcome Online Learning Consortium, who are with us today, Dreamscape Learn, and also International Air Transport Association. Those are the new corporate members. And also I want to thank especially and dearly my partners in crime from HETS and also from EDP University, who have taken care of all the technical support and technical issues too. Okay, so welcome to Puerto Rico. Welcome to EDP University in Atorrey. We have several other campuses in San Sebastián, Humacao, Manatí, Villalba, and Caguas. 5 other campuses. This is our main campus, but we always welcome you wherever you want to go. We want to take part of this IA conversation today. The best practices showcase that we have prepared for the rest of the week, and we want to make the most out of this visit, out of this virtual best practices showcase, and of this gathering. Thank you again, and see you tomorrow, today and tomorrow.
Thank you, President Nieves, for your welcoming remarks and wonderful hospitality. Please help me welcome Dr. Yubelkis Montalvo, HETS Executive Director, for a brief message as well.
Thank you, Albert. Ay, pero está muy alto. I'm not as tall as Gladys. So thank you again. Thank you, Albert. We are pleased that you accept our invitation. And as the Executive Director of HETS, I am very proud to have been able to organize this extraordinary event for our members, collaborators, peer organizations, and institutions. Thank you for your constant support to HETS initiative. Also, greatly appreciate the ongoing support and collaboration of the Evaluation Committee members, our corporate partners, and the consistent trust and guidance of the Board of Directors here with us today, our staff, and especially the outstanding staff from our host institution to date, EDP University of Puerto Rico. They help us coordinating all the logistic and technical requirements of an event like this. And this is definitely a result of a great team effort, although sometimes technology, get in the middle. Please help us recognize their effort with a big round of applause. Thank you so much. This occasion is a special one, not only because we exceed our expectation receiving more than 25 proposals of different initiatives, but also because we continue to share a forum for talented students to showcase their innovative projects. Definitely, this best practices showcase is an opportunity for academic leaders from member institutions to share their vast knowledge and expertise. Today, we also have the opportunity to see the point of view of recognized academic leaders in Puerto Rico and also in the US, who will be discussing the impact of artificial intelligence in higher education. We hope that this will be an enriching opportunity for all of us. Finally, we are pleased to continue working together to carry out our mission, focusing on the transformation on teaching and learning through technology and the success of Hispanic students. Thank you again for joining us today here in Puerto Rico, the ones who is the first time. We hope that you enjoy, and please let us know anything you need to enjoy our beautiful island. And also, I hope this event will provide you with wonderful opportunities for networking with other key leaders, and that you may acquire important tools, resources, and lessons to continue enhancing your practice and providing new opportunities for Hispanic in higher education. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Yuvelkis. Before we begin today's opening session, we would like to invite you to benefit from this HETS 2025 Virtual Best Practices Showcase by first making questions as live presentations on the Zoom chat, or sending your questions to info@hets.org to forward them to the asynchronous presentations presenters. This conference objective is to provide an opportunity to learn more, find solutions to many common issues, and or establish new opportunities for collaboration with other institutions and potential partners. Second, we have available a new service of simultaneous translation through Worldy. If you need translation to English or Spanish, you can click on the pop message on the Zoom screen to access the simultaneous translation and select the language. Third, you have the opportunity to request a certificate with 15 content hours after watching all presentations. The cost to request the certificate to the Inter-American University Continuing Education Office is $15. All the information to request the certificate and pay is on the program webpage of the conference. Fourth, we encourage you to extend an invitation to others to register and participate to highlight and celebrate the outstanding work of the HETS member institutions. To achieve Hispanic student success, remember that once you register, you will receive an email with the passcode that will give you access to all the presentations of this virtual best practices showcase, beginning today until January 2024-2025. More than 20 presentations are already accessible. Finally, all participants will receive an email with a link to access an online survey to give us your feedback and help us evaluate this opening session and the conference presentations per track. The Hispanic Educational Technology Services Consortium has distinguished itself as a forefront organization in the integration of technology for the advancement of higher education and learning opportunities for the Hispanic and academic community in general. Moreover, the HETS Consortium has elevated collaborations to a new rank, bringing together higher education institutions from the United States, Puerto Rico, Latin America, and representatives from the government, private, and academic sectors for the past 32 years. These sectors will be represented in this 2025 HETS Virtual Best Practices Showcase, validating the importance of collaboration for the success of the Hispanic students in our community. The HETS Consortium is proud to open this virtual 2025 Best Practices Showcase with a panel presenting the topic, Artificial Intelligence in Higher Education. But first, let me inform you that the panelists will have approximately 10 minutes each to present at the end of their presentations. Our moderator will receive questions from the audience. Feel free to write your questions regarding the presentation on the chat. Please specify the name of the presenter to whom the question is addressed to. Now, please help me welcome today's moderator, Dr. Carlos Vargas, and the panelists. Dr. Carlos Vargas Arbuto became the 18th president of the Southeast Missouri State University on July 1st, 2015. After having served as acting president at Kutztown University of Pennsylvania, he also served as the provost and vice president for academic and student affairs at Kutztown Central State University in Wilberforce, Ohio, and served in several roles at Kent State University, Ohio, for a total of 18 years. Dr. Vargas began his career in higher education at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM, from which he received a Bachelor's of Science degree in physics. His initial appointment was as a senior associate researcher for the Institute of Geophysics, and he later held a similar position for the university's Institute of Physics. Dr. Vargas earned his PhD in physics and aerospace science from the University of Michigan, and he has a Master of Science degrees from Michigan in Physics and Aerospace Science. Please welcome our distinguished moderator, Dr. Carlos Vargas. Yes. Now, we would like to invite the panelists to join the moderator to start this panel. I will share a summary of each panelist's professional trajectory before each of their presentations, starting with Tony Skyner. Tony Skyner has taught in a variety of schools and has served as an adult education teacher, a young college instructor at Southeast Missouri State University, middle high school teacher, and industry trainer. Teaching technology is her passion, and she spent most of the summers speaking to teachers and providing online webinars on many technology programs, including implementing artificial intelligence in the classroom. In her 28 years of teaching, she has taught just about everything in secondary business education, from fourth grade keyboarding to business law, as well as desktop publishing, and even pre-kinder summer school computers. Sounds fun. She loves sharing resources through her Facebook page and helping teachers to reach their fullest potential. Please welcome Tonya. Now, I have the pleasure of sharing with you the summary of Dr. Jose Ferrer Lopez's outstanding experience as well. Dr. Jose Ferrer Lopez is a professor of education and the director of continuing education and distant education at the University of Puerto Rico Mayagüez campus, El Colegio. His areas of expertise include leadership and administration, the use of technology in education and distant learning, and the application of artificial intelligence in education and organization, which has been the focus of his research in recent years. He is the creator of the multi-strategic model for effective online teaching and the integrated model for conflict management and negotiation. Additionally, he developed the prompt engineer certification for education, which has engaged participants from both Puerto Rico and abroad, along with other certifications and courses. Dr. Ferrer has presented his research finding at national and international conferences in countries such as Peru, Portugal, Mexico, and Australia, among others. He is the author of the books Artificial Intelligence in the Classroom, a guide for integrating AI into student-centered activities, and assessment of learning in the era of artificial intelligence, a guide to developing a culture of academic integrity, among 14 other books, 5 of which focus on education. All his books are available on Amazon in both print and digital formats. Please help me welcome my former professor, Dr. Jose Ferrer. Jorge Silva Puras is currently the Provost and Senior Vice President for Academic Affairs and Student Success at Lehman College, City University of New York. Previously, he served as Provost and Executive Vice President at the Universidad del Sagrado Corazón in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He had taught at CUNY, NYU, and Sagrado. Before joining academia, Jorge was appointed by President Obama to serve as the U.S. Small Business Administrator for Region 2, covering New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and USVI. Before the SBA, he served as Chief of Staff to the Governor of Puerto Rico, Executive Director of the Puerto Rico Industrial Development Company, and as such, Puerto Rico Secretary of Economic Development and Commerce. He served as Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Puerto Rico Industrial Development Company and Puerto Rico Science and Technology Trust, among several other boards. He also served as member of the Board of Directors of the Government Development Bank and the Economic Development Bank of Puerto Rico. Before his government roles, Jorge worked for the Procter & Gamble Company, Citigroup, and the O'Neill and Borges Law Firm. He received his BA degree from Yale University, JD from the University of Puerto Rico, and MBA from the University of Texas at Austin, and the Copenhagen Business School in Denver. Let's welcome, virtually, Jorge Silva Puras.
We're going to start the presentation with Tonja. Go ahead, Tonja.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. So thank you to HETS for allowing me to come and share with you. I am a college instructor, but I am also a full-time secondary high school teacher. So my experience is probably a bit different than some of the other panelists, since I do work with young high school students day to day, and I do get to see some of what they are doing prior to coming to post-secondary educational institutions. So hopefully that will be useful for you today. I also serve as a technology trainer, so I do a lot of training with faculty and staff as well. All right, next slide. So we all know that AI is becoming a very big thing. In November of 2022, when ChatGPT became very apparent that it was going to affect society, many teachers were very taken aback by it. There are many hesitant faculty members and many students who aren't quite sure what to do with artificial intelligence. However, we really cannot fight it. We cannot not use it. It is extremely important that we learn how to use it properly and how to encourage students to use it properly as well. As you can see on the slide, I've included some statistics. 76% of marketing professionals and other non-IT roles have started using AI tools, and 71% of leaders say they'd rather hire a less experienced candidate with AI skills than a more experienced candidate without them. And I felt like those were very, very important statistics to consider. As much as we feel compelled to share our own disciplines and our knowledge of what we know, it is also important to instill those skills in our students so that they know how to use artificial intelligence and other tools for other purposes. Now, I do recall when we first started talking about that in my own school district, there was a lot of apprehension. Many teachers were afraid of it taking over their jobs and afraid of how students would use artificial intelligence in the classroom. I noticed our English teachers were most concerned, and any teachers who taught classes where they had to write essays, because most of what they would ask them to do could be accomplished by just a simple paragraph response. And so it has changed things in many ways. However, as a faculty member who has used it personally and in my personal and professional life, and trying to incorporate good skills with students, I believe AI should be used for three main purposes. I've listed them here for you, but number one is as a collaborator. So whether or not you personally are writing something and need feedback, or you are trying to get information to help you overcome a writing block or other stumbling point if you're trying to get work accomplished, you can utilize AI as a collaborator. You can also use it as a coach, telling you what you need to do better, telling you what you could improve upon, telling you where you could find additional information. And then I find the third to be extremely important, which is as a critic, to look at what you've come up with from a critical eye. And I believe that's one of the most powerful things about AI, is we can take our ideas and immediately get feedback from something that tells us, hey, your argument might be off here. So have you considered this? Have you considered that? And that's a powerful thing as a teacher, because whenever I ask students, and I'm sure your students are probably excellent and don't have these problems, but when I ask my students to do certain things, they often have no good starting point. One example I can give is we have an advisory group, students that I advise on a daily basis, that come in and they're working on work for other classes. And so I have a student working on an English paper, and they come in and sit and stare at a blank screen for a very long time. And I'm like, why are you just staring at the screen? And they cannot come up with a title for their paper. And so sometimes students get into a block very early on in a writing process, and that can be with any course, but they just don't know where to go. And so AI really has great implications for providing students something to help them get past that. Okay. So many of you are probably using AI in some way, shape, or form, and you might not even know it. Most of us are aware of the general ways that we have been using it for the last few years. Many of you probably have an Alexa or a Siri or some other device that we can talk to. Those smart assistants, I find it funny when I get in my car in the morning that my phone tells me how long it's going to take me to get to work, because it just knows based on my patterns that that's probably where I am going. So we are used to that type of AI. I don't know if you like to binge watch television on Netflix. I do. And of course, it always recommends something that it thinks I will like. That is AI. When you have social media, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, the posts that you see, the ads that you see, much of that data is collected through AI means and then delivers you what it believes you want. Same with online shopping, navigation when you're traveling, and even fraud detection. Many of you, if you're traveling, probably have gotten a text message to make sure that you really are in Puerto Rico, or maybe that's just me. So we do have to be aware that AI is impervious to everything that we do, and it is all around us all of the time. But many educators and educational administrators are quite wary, and there's good reason for that. Oh no, go back. Yes. No, that's forward. Other way. Back one. There we go. Perfect. Too far. Yes. Okay. All right. So big concerns are bias and fairness. And I think that is a big part of something to consider, especially here. We do know that there is inherent bias in AI. AI can be trained on just about anything that's out there. Certainly, there are ways with paid programs and specific programs where you can prohibit some of that from happening. But bias is a huge concern. And I will be honest, most students don't know that. And they don't realize that. And they use it blindly. And so that is a big concern that we have. Another, of course, is privacy. And that is a huge concern in many, many places, because whatever you put into that AI can then be used for training data in other people's use of AI. It's kind of funny if you haven't used AI a lot to ask it about yourself, especially if you know there's information about you out there. For example, one time when I went to ask it some questions about me, Tanya Skinner, a business teacher from Missouri, it told me the name of a book I wrote, but I've never written a book. So you do have to be extremely careful. One of the big concerns to me is the impact on human interaction. And we've already had that problem to some degree with the great use of virtual for everything these days. Right? So the students are not having as much human interaction with their professors, with their teachers, even with the administrators. So that's something that's a big concern. I have students who tell me, I don't have an instructor to ask to be a reference for me for this internship or for this job. So we've got to be careful about letting AI take over the role of that teacher in that type of a role. And then academic dishonesty, of course, that's always a big issue. People afraid that students will use AI for cheating. And I do believe that that's only a problem if we do not train them properly. Okay, next slide. All right, to wrap up, I did want to mention just a few useful tools because it seems that whenever I work with faculty and staff, most of them are only really aware of ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, some of the main AI chatbots that most people interact with. However, there are a lot of educational tools that are out there. So if you are a faculty member or a teacher, or you advise those people, here are some recommended tools. They are free. Some you can pay also. But these are really wonderful tools for providing your students better ways of accessing artificial intelligence in a way, for example, with School AI and Magic School, where I can see the conversations that they are having with the AI chatbot. So if you're allowing students to use it, they can use it as a consultant or as a guide or as a critic, and you're able to see everything that happened in that conversation. So there are a few tools for that. Many of these tools to help you create AI-resistant assignments, give you better ways to perhaps modify your assignment instead of a simple essay that could easily be replaced by or created by AI. So those are some tools for that. Diffit is a tool that I really like for language translation. That's important for me because I'm not great at Spanish. And so when I have a student who does not speak English in my classroom, I do need to find ways to reach out to them in their language without just asking them to translate me all of the time. I had a student from Ukraine this last year, so I used this tool quite a bit to help connect with that student and create resources. All right. My contact information is on this next slide, so feel free to reach out to me. Obviously, you'll get a chance to ask us some questions here soon, but there's my contact information as well. So I hope I've provided you a little bit of an overview of kind of the academic side of AI. Thank you.
Now we have Albert. You're supposed to present the next one. I mean, just the name.
I'm glad to introduce Dr. José Ferré.
Bueno, para seguir probando la herramienta que están usando de traducción, pues voy a dar mi presentación en español. Así que un placer estar aquí, un placer poder compartir con todos ustedes algunas ideas y gracias a HETS por la invitación. Nosotros, como educadores, estamos confrontando una problemática bastante fuerte referente al uso de la inteligencia artificial en los procesos educativos porque estamos utilizando una visión de túnel que está amarrada a nuestra idiosincrasia, a la forma en que hacemos las cosas. Una de las problemáticas que se ha presentado y que estoy viendo en las facultades y en la institución de manera general es que estamos concentrándonos solamente en el uso de la inteligencia artificial como un medio o ayudante dentro del proceso educativo o de aprendizaje. Una de las cosas que está pasando en toda nuestra sociedad es que estamos utilizando inteligencia artificial en todas las áreas sin saberlo. ChatGPT, Gemini y Cloud, como dijo la colega, son las inteligencias artificiales de lenguaje natural que estamos utilizando todos los días. Las oportunidades que he tenido de estar presente y de hablar, por ejemplo, con la facultad médica para mencionar que estamos utilizando sistemas de MRI con inteligencia artificial en los hospitales de Puerto Rico, que estamos utilizando inteligencia artificial para tomar decisiones a nivel gubernamental, nos dejan ver que la sociedad se está transformando bien rápido y que nosotros no podemos pasar eso por alto. Así que dentro de lo que estoy compartiendo con ustedes de mi presentación, esta integración de la inteligencia artificial es inevitable y necesaria. El primer punto que les traigo dentro de las razones es que su uso es una nueva destreza a adquirir. Nosotros no podemos pasar por alto que dentro de los sistemas educativos, desde escuela elemental, intermedia, superior, hasta llegar a la universidad, este tipo de tecnología va a ser de uso diario. Nosotros vamos a tener interacciones con estas tecnologías todos los días para todas las áreas del saber y todas las áreas del hacer, ¿verdad? Y eso requiere que nosotros repensemos cómo enseñamos no solamente en la sala de clase a nivel universitario, sino en los niveles más bajos, que son los estudiantes que nosotros vamos a recibir. Una cosa que no podemos hacer es evitar hablar de inteligencia artificial. Una de las cosas que compartió la compañera es que la inteligencia artificial se vuelve un nuevo estándar en el área laboral. Es imposible que usted pueda hacer una tarea que usted hacía antes sin inteligencia artificial y que sea más eficiente que cuando utiliza inteligencia artificial. Ese es el nuevo estándar laboral. El nuevo estándar laboral es que la inteligencia artificial es la mesa, es el punto de partida y nos van a evaluar de ahí hacia arriba. Si yo como supervisor, administrador, como rector, digo, eso que estás haciendo se puede optimizar con inteligencia artificial, ya estoy partiendo de la premisa que lo que estabas haciendo antes no era óptimo. no era efectivo. Y eso nos va a afectar en todas las áreas. En este momento, las instituciones educativas deberían estar utilizando inteligencia artificial para hacer análisis de matrícula, para hacer distribución de facilidades, uso de salones, no solamente en la sala de clase, sino en los procesos administrativos. Así que nosotros tenemos varios retos. Dentro de esos retos, uno de los retos más importantes que tenemos es el acceso. Y este es uno de los que me preocupa más. Nosotros tenemos estas tareas, tenemos estas actividades, tenemos estas oportunidades de aprendizaje y de momento tenemos un estudiante que puede pagar ChatGPT 4 Omni y el otro que no. ¿Quién va a ejecutar mejor? Yo no tengo ni siquiera que conocer las destrezas del estudiante para saber que ahí hay una competencia injusta. ¿Qué vamos a hacer las instituciones educativas para poder dar acceso a estas tecnologías? Porque el estudiante no va a aprender a utilizarlas correctamente si no tiene acceso. Y eso se está volviendo un problema comparable al que tuvimos en la pandemia. ¿Se acuerdan en la pandemia? En la pandemia, ¿quién la pasaba mejor? El que tenía internet en la casa, el que tenía computadora, el que tenía un ambiente donde podía participar de ese proceso educativo. Si el estudiante no tenía internet, no tenía computadora, entonces la institución educativa tenía que intervenir. Teníamos que atraer a ese estudiante y facilitarle estas tecnologías. Otro de los problemas graves que tenemos es la calidad de la información. Y yo no les voy a hablar de la calidad de la información que se colocó dentro del entrenamiento de una inteligencia artificial, la compañera lo mencionó. Eso es parte, pero nosotros tenemos un problema en las instituciones educativas. De momento decido que tengo una tecnología que pueda ayudarme a tomar mejores decisiones, pero yo no tengo en su lugar un almacenamiento de datos catalogado, organizado, que me permita utilizar esa información para tomar las decisiones. Eso quiere decir que cada carta, cada correo electrónico, de hecho, esta es una de las costumbres que tenemos. Enviamos un correo electrónico, ahí comenzó la conversación, después nos vamos a una reunión presencial y tenemos más conversaciones, luego una llamada telefónica, tomamos la decisión y de momento todos esos datos están esparcidos en diferentes fuentes, en diferentes medios, guardados en diferentes lugares y algunos de ellos ni se guardan. ¿Cómo yo voy a utilizar la inteligencia artificial si no tengo los datos bien organizados? Así que en este momento que vivimos, necesitamos repensar la forma en que recopilamos los datos que podríamos estar utilizando para tomar decisiones importantes dentro de la institución educativa. Dentro de esos retos que tenemos también está el desarrollo de pensamiento crítico. El desarrollo de pensamiento crítico de los estudiantes se va a ver muy afectado. Nosotros, ya personas profesionales que trabajan, que han pasado por un proceso educativo, vemos estas herramientas y las vemos como una ayuda para hacer ciertas tareas. Pero nuestros estudiantes, los estudiantes que están en escuela elemental, que están en escuela intermedia, escuela superior, que van a llegar a la universidad, van a recurrir a estas herramientas en primera instancia y no tienen el criterio para tomar decisiones sobre si el producto de lo que generaron es útil o no es útil. Entonces, eso nos hace repensar la sala de clase. Tenemos que planificar la sala de clase pensando que la inteligencia artificial existe y que cualquier tarea que yo le pida al estudiante, el estudiante la puede generar con inteligencia artificial. Y aquí voy a dar un detalle de pedagogía bien interesante que he llevado en muchas conversaciones que he tenido sobre estos temas. Nosotros planificamos las clases con objetivos de acción observable. Esos objetivos tienen unos verbos específicos que se supone que son acciones que lleva a cabo el estudiante y que nosotros podemos observar. Y ahí está la clave. ¿Quién puede observar? Nosotros. Si la tarea la hace el estudiante en su casa, la hace en otro lugar, la trae de otro lugar, ¿quién observó? Nadie observó. El docente no observó. Tenemos que buscar la forma de observar el proceso más allá que de estar observando el producto. Soluciones, porque discutimos los problemas, pero vamos a discutir algunas soluciones. Nosotros tenemos que como instituciones comenzar a hilvanar la idea de si vamos a contratar servicios de inteligencia artificial de terceros o nosotros vamos a adoptar sistemas de inteligencia artificial dentro de nuestras instituciones donde podamos controlar los datos y donde podamos tomar decisiones sin que un third party, sin que una compañía, sin que una internacional de estas supercorporaciones controle los datos que tenemos de nuestros estudiantes y los datos del personal. Así que una de las posibles soluciones es comenzar a utilizar sistemas de inteligencia artificial open source y hacerlo de forma local dentro de las instituciones, y para eso tenemos que repensar la forma en que contratamos a los expertos que nos ayudarán a hacer eso. La organización y recolección de datos, tenemos que tener sistemas que recojan los datos de manera organizada. Nuestros sistemas de gestión de aprendizaje para enseñar a distancia tienen muchos datos de los estudiantes. Estos sistemas de datos y este recogido de datos nos puede ayudar a predecir si un estudiante se va a dar de baja, si un estudiante va a ejecutar bien, basado en su comportamiento, como dijo la compañera, como Netflix evalúa nuestro comportamiento cuando estamos viendo películas y series. En este caso, podemos hacer eso. Lo podemos hacer siempre y cuando esos datos estén bien organizados. La investigación en la implementación y uso, no podemos hacer una adopción sin evaluar. Por lo tanto, tenemos que hacer proyectos pilotos específicos, pequeños, donde podamos evaluar los resultados de la implementación de uso de inteligencia artificial en los procesos administrativos y educativos para entonces ver qué funciona y escalar. También la capacitación de los empleados, que es lo que está haciendo HETS en el día de hoy, capacitación de los empleados, los docentes y los estudiantes, porque una de las prioridades que tenemos que tener es que las personas sepan a qué nos estamos enfrentando. Para ir culminando, y que no se me acabe el tiempo, estoy justo a tiempo, una palabra que escucho mucho es las personas tienen miedo. Y tener miedo no necesariamente es malo. Si usted piensa que esta cosa, porque la inteligencia artificial es una cosa, que esta cosa le puede quitar el trabajo, usted va a tomar acción, se va a preparar y va a actuar mejor. Que pasen buen día.
Agradecido al Dr. Ferrer. Thank you, Dr. Ferrer. Now we're going to have our Professor Jorge Silva Puras virtually.
Thank you so much. And I hope you can see me. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much to EDP and to HETS for this invitation. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Un gusto estar con ustedes en el día de hoy. Disculpen que no pueda estar presencialmente. Hubo una emergencia familiar que me evitó el poder ir a San Juan, but my intent was to be there in person. But this is the, I guess, the second best, which is try to do in a virtual and live manner a demonstration of what I consider are some of the key highlights of some of the opportunities that AI presents for higher education. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and this will include a PowerPoint presentation and a couple of demos. So I hope that you can see my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, we do.
Excellent. And maybe you can see me on a corner. If not, that's fine because you can hear me. So I first wanted to take an approach that was mentioned by some of our previous panelists, which is how can we use this tool to increase the success of students? And to put it in context, I'm going to do two live demonstrations of how I have been investigating and exploring and researching the use of AI at Lehman College. I am the provost at Lehman, which is one of the senior colleges of the City University of New York. And we are quite focused on exploring opportunities to enhance student success and student learning by using these tools. So the first one I want to discuss is how can you use customized GPTs as virtual tutors? And I want to refer to what Tonya mentioned earlier. This could be an excellent collaborator for your students as an interactive teaching tool. The second one that I will share with you is how can you develop multimodal course content? And this is, of course, driven by the fact that different students learn in different ways. Some prefer video, some prefer audio, some prefer text, some like to use a combination of them. I will show you and demonstrate one example of how you can do that. So moving on to customization of a GPT. As you can see from the picture, this is a virtual Pinocchio, or in Spanish, as we say, Pinocho, which makes reference, as you can imagine, to the fact that you have to be very careful, as Jose mentioned earlier, about the content that the AI will give you and will give your students. Sometimes the AI does hallucinate. And hallucination, of course, is the perception of something that isn't there, but feels real. So sometimes, and you probably, those of you who have used ChatGPT or Perplexity or any of the other LLMs, knows that sometimes the answer, while incorrect, is stated in such a forceful manner, such a convincing manner that you think it's real, that it's correct. And that, of course, is a challenge for our students, particularly if they cannot differentiate between what are facts and what are fake information. So 3 things why I think customization can be critical as you look at these tools. The first one is that with the GPT, customized GPT, you can better control the sources of information that students use in the course. The second one, as I mentioned earlier, is that you can minimize, you cannot eliminate them completely, but you can certainly minimize the potential for hallucination or for the risk of providing wrong information. And the third one, which was another concern that my fellow panelists mentioned earlier, is how can we minimize bias? And bias comes in many ways. It could be gender bias, could be racial bias, or in other forms. And what I'm going to show you now, I'm going to do a quick demo, is how you can try to control as much as possible for those challenges. So we're going to do a real-time demo. I'm going to start by telling you how you could create your own GPT. And in order to do that adequately and effectively, you should be thinking, even before you create your GPT, who is your audience? Number 2, what is the subject matter? And be as specific and narrow as possible in terms of the subject matter you want to cover in your customized GPT. And what content would you like to share through that customized GPT so that you can control for hallucinations? So the second square in this slide that you see is a test that I just created this morning. Actually, I created in just a few minutes to give you a sense for how easy it is to create, in this case, a virtual tutor for a class that I will be teaching at Lehman this spring. In 2 weeks, I start a class on Principles of Management, BBA 204. And I decided I wanted to create a custom GPT to serve as a virtual teaching assistant of sorts. The third element, and we will see it in action, is the need to be constantly iterating. So you need to verify that the answers provided by the customized GPT are accurate. And if they're not, how can you minimize incorrect information and hallucinations? So let me stop sharing for a second, because I do want to share another part of my screen.
If you want to use sound, remember to check share sound.
Absolutely. Let me do that right now. I'm going to share, including share sound. Excellent. So you're probably looking at my screen now. Let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we do.
It's probably what you're seeing right now is what many of you are familiar with, which is the regular ChatGPT environment. In this case, I do subscribe to the Plus account, This is the one that costs about $30 per month, and it allows me to do several things. Especially, and most critically for purposes of this demonstration today, it allows you to create your own GPT. And I'm going to show you how to do it. So when you go here, you see that there are different licenses that you can use. But here you can also look at customizing GPT. And what I did was I created this GPT in particular, which I called Lehman College BBA Virtual Tour for the course BBA 204 that is taught at Lehman College. Now, what you will see is that you can edit any chat that you create by going here, Edit GPT, and it will ask you, as you want to create, what are the configurations you want to use on your customized GPT. So two critical things. Look what I have done. This is a course on principles of management. I use an OER, Open Educational Resource. So the textbook is from OpenStax at Rice University, is this document that I uploaded as a file to my custom GPT. You just press here, upload files, and you can take anything at all and insert it there. What am I doing and why am I doing this? Because I am going to tell the GPT to limit its analysis, its assessment of the content to just these 5 documents that I have incorporated. How I do that? By unclicking in capabilities, the one that says web search, I unclick it, meaning while the GPT will tap into its collective knowledge, it will minimize the reference to outside content and will focus the answers to the content on the information that you provide. In this case, I have provided the course schedule, I have provided the academic calendar, I have provided the textbook, and I have provided the syllabus. So let me put it to you. So I'm going to update the ChatGPT. I'm going to go there, view the GPT, which, by the way, you can share. Anyone with the link can use this right now. And now I am in my GPT. And I'm going to ask a very simple question. I'm going to ask, what is the law of diminishing returns? Maybe some of you are familiar with this term. And it's taking the definition of the law of diminishing returns from the textbook that I incorporated into the class. All right? Now, this is the description. It's quite accurate, and that's part of that iteration process I mentioned earlier. You need to be constantly checking whether the answers provided are correct or accurate. But it's a little bit too complex. So I want to say, can you explain this concept to a 12-year-old? It will take that content because it starts to develop a memory of what is being asked during this customized GPT and says, sure, imagine you have a small kitchen where when you're baking cookies with friends, and it gives you a condensed version of what the law of diminishing returns is. But it's not only about the course content. Remember what I said earlier? I incorporated the syllabus, I incorporated the course calendar. So, let me see. Can you tell me what is the grading criteria or grading policy rather, grading policy in this course? And it's going to tell you specifically what the grading criteria and policy is for this course. It's taking this directly from my syllabus, tells how many exams there will be, how many points you will get per exam, etc. But, you know, I'm interested in finding out a little bit more information. So there are 3 tests. Let me see if I can ask, what are the dates of the exams? So now we decided to look in a different document. It didn't look into the syllabus. It looked into the course calendar, and those are the three dates, and that is accurate information. Now, remember that this system learns, so you can help the system learn better by doing thumbs up if the correct answer was provided. If it wasn't, of course, you do a thumbs down, and you can clarify. So this GPT will be learning. Now, everything that I have said so far, creating this customized GPT took me no more than 10 minutes. It's very easy to do, very, very intuitive. And the best thing about it is that it is free and available to your students. You just provide the link to GPT, and they can enter at any point in time during the class. Now, if you want to look at other options for customized GPTs, there is an entire ecosystem already of what is the equivalent of the Apple Store or the Android Store with GPTs. So we just go to this point here on the list, Explore GPTs, and you can pick from one of several categories. If you go to education, it will highlight the top educational apps. A little bit in reference to what Tanya mentioned earlier, you can have quite a significant number of applications free for your students here. Math Tutor, Music Maker, etc. It's fantastic. But let's say that you're looking for something very specific. So let's say we want to look for any GPTs created for Puerto Rico. So you just press Puerto Rico, and lo and behold, look at all these different options. From Birds of Puerto Rico to Space Foundation, Climate Justice. You can see also that depending on the level of interest of the audience, you will see at the bottom of the description of the GPT how many downloads it has received already. Oh, this is an interesting one, Puerto Rico Tax Guide GPT. So this CPA, Hector Garcia, created this GPT to serve clients in understanding what are the specific elements of Puerto Rican taxes. And I bet you that when he created this GPT, he circumscribed the content so that the answers were provided only based on the Puerto Rico tax code, okay? So enough of the GPTs, because I want to also, going back to the presentation. Let me stop share for a moment, and please let me know how much time I have left. I know
I was about to interrupt you. 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Okay, so I'll cover this one very quickly because I think it's something you will really find interesting. This other application is called HeyGen, and I'm going to show you as an example of many tools out there that allow you to create content in different modalities or in different formats. In this case, this is content that can be developed in video form. So let me share it with you. They said it's called HeyGen. And basically what it allows you to do is take any information about your course. In this case, let's look at the law of diminishing returns. You take the information that you want to create in a visual or auditory fashion, and you place it and choose an avatar. These individuals, all of these folks that you see here and here, all of these are AI creations. None of them are real human beings, but they are pretty effective at allowing you to share information. Keep in mind, what you're about to see and hear has a slight delay over Zoom, so it might not seem like it's very natural, but when you see the actual video, you will be able to tell that it's very, very effective. So this is, again, I took the script of what the law of diminishing returns is, and I put it in this video format. So let's take a listen.
The law of diminishing returns is an economic principle that explains how adding more of something doesn't always make things better. Imagine you're trying to improve something, like a...
So this is a minimalist style. Hopefully you could hear it. But let's say you want to
Yes,
change
we
the
can hear.
avatar. Could you hear it?
Yes.
Yes, good. So let's say we want to change the avatar. So within a few seconds, you use a different avatar with a different voice, but you use the same script. Let's take a listen. One second, excuse me. One sec. I'll go again. My apologies. There we go.
The law of diminishing returns is an economic principle that explains how adding more of something doesn't always make things better. Imagine you're trying to improve something, like a farm or a business, by adding more resources, like workers or ingredients. At first, each addition...
So, and again, you can choose any form of avatar that you like. You can also choose different languages, so that HeyGen application that I just showed you allows you to translate automatically into Spanish, into French, into any language that you would like. So I know I'm past time, but more than glad at any point that you so wish to stay in touch with you. I'm going to put my contact information on the screen as well. Although I think Jubelkis has that contact.
Yes.
Let me just share it. And there we go. There you go. So you can reach me at jorge.silvapurasaliman.cuny.edu or via LinkedIn. So thank you so much for your attention, and we'd love to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So now we introduce our moderator to take over. You can either sit down there or you can, okay, yes, of course, wherever you feel more comfy. Dr. Carlos Vargas with us to guide the...
Thank you. Can you all
discussion.
hear me well? Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope that you all share with me the fact that this was a wonderful session. It really was excellent. So thank you very much to our three panelists. It's been very exciting. When we were planning on having a session like this, and I need to take a little bit of blame for that, I thought it's important to have a session on artificial intelligence. I think we're starting to, this session helped us really analyze a little bit or get a little bit of a sense. It's a tip of the iceberg, I think, in many ways, what we were able to witness here today. Talk about artificial intelligence impacting students from K through 12, all the way to college and faculty, right? And it gives us a sense of the impact that it has, some of which we have not even been able to really assess carefully. I enjoyed some of the comments of the speakers. In Jose's conversation, I started thinking about this book. Remember the book, The World is Flat, that Thomas Friedman wrote in 2005? Made me remember that, when he thought, the world is now flat. People can actually compete with each other, but we're not having an uneven field to compete. And then it also made me think about the fact that in another one of his books, I think it's called That Used to Be Us. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Not very famous as The World Flat, but he talked about the fact that we are living in an age of accelerations. And that is absolutely true. When you think about the way technology is moving, it's accelerating. developments are taking place in a shorter amount of time every time. And we as society are having difficulty actually developing the norms that allow us to use the technology effectively and dealing with all the impact and the impact that it has, and some of which is really hard for us to really assess. I mean, social media, the development of social media is an example of that. We're still trying to figure out how to control, take advantage of the benefits of social media while actually minimizing the negative aspects. So I know that we probably have some questions. I could start. Perhaps, if you don't mind, I'll address Tanya, maybe. If you don't mind, I'll ask the question. One of the things that when artificial intelligence started becoming very popular in the last couple of years, I told the provost at the university, I said, you need to get a group of faculty and start talking about artificial intelligence, how we're going to integrate it, how we're going to be dealing with it. And a few months later, maybe weeks, a couple of months later, I asked him, so how are things going? And he said, well, the faculty are very active and they're working on figuring out the way to prevent the students from cheating. So, I mean, that's it? He said, yeah, they're very worried about that. And I said, look, artificial intelligence is not something we're going to be able to control. Access to that is not going to be able to. What we need to do is look at the way that they can use it, because they will be using it. And so how do we actually take advantage of that? How do we, and so I think we're all trying to figure out, how to deal with this issue. And so I wanted to ask you, in K through 12, Tanya, for example, is there a conversation going about dealing with cheating, using artificial intelligence for that? How is that being discussed at this point?
Yes, so many teachers are quite concerned about academic integrity and whether or not students are doing their own work. As a matter of fact, many teachers have gone almost back to paper pencil for many things for in-person courses because they're afraid of students just turning in AI-generated work as their own. It's been interesting because I advise a lot of teachers on how can we use it well. And so I think part of that is just training. Students, if you don't ever tell students how they can use it in a good way, they'll just use it in the only way they know how, which is to type in the essay question, get an answer, and in many cases, copy paste. So I teach a multimedia course where students have to create a fictional business, and they've got to come up with a marketing plan. And it is a fabulous tool for that sort of thing. They are trying to generate ideas for names of companies or ideas for products and that sort of thing. And so it really does help students to get excited about the possibilities that it can give them, and not just, I'm just throwing out information because my faculty member needs the answer to a question. I have students who I'll create one where they have to interact with it, and they're like, can I use it again tomorrow? Because it gave me some really good ideas. And now they're excited and they're typing up their own information. They're not copy pasting because it helped them to generate ideas. So I think part of that is training. And at the high school level, at the secondary level, we're not doing a good job of that. I think a lot of times we just assume that they know how to use it. And when I introduced it in one class last year, I had a student who was treating it like Google. They were just typing in a couple of words. And I was like, what are you asking it to do? I don't know. Well, you need to ask it like you would ask me, only be really super detailed. And so they would type it in, and then he just went with that. And I said, no, wait, it didn't give you what you wanted. Ask it follow-up questions. And like, you can do that? You can't do that with Google. Like, this is different than Google. But many people, adults as well, are not aware of the fact that you have that capability. And I think there's much power in that.
Thank you. I mean, that's absolutely true. I think it's like many other things. We need to train, and we need to train the trainer, actually, right, in some ways. Let me just ask a couple of questions, because I don't want to take over, because we do have questions online, right?
Online, no, but let me, the people here in person, please use the If
Well-
you are in the table, use the microphone. If you are in the side, use the stand microphones we have
Well,
over here.
Let me first ask
Okay.
a couple of questions.
Go ahead,
Toma.
not a
So,
problem.
Jose, your session really was very, very good. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And I want to focus just on one particular concept that you talked about is when you talked about, are we going to be hiring somebody to do the AI system for us, or are we going to be developing our own locally? It made me think about the local, the sort of home built systems for doing student analysis, right? And so the issue with doing something locally is going to be the resources where certain universities are, well, or organizations, institutions, they're not going to have the resources to actually develop that. Or if they do, the question is, how do they maintain it down the road? What are your thoughts about that?
¿Me escuchan? Sí. Perfecto.
Perdón, de hecho, debería haber hecho la pregunta.
No, no,
en
no,
español.
no.
Sí, disculpa.
Nosotros tuvimos la misma pregunta, ¿verdad? Y por eso es que traigo el tema.
Ujú.
Para explicar, y lo comentaste muy bien, sobre los avances exponenciales que estamos teniendo, es que esos avances también tienen que ver con la parte económica de cómo se adquieren estas inteligencias artificiales y cómo se pueden mantener. En el área de investigación, principalmente en el área de educación, pero lo trabajamos para el área administrativa también. Para darle el ejemplo práctico, nosotros estuvimos en la universidad utilizando un clúster para correr sistemas de inteligencia artificial local dentro del departamento de ingeniería, donde se enseña ese tipo de temas.
Ujú.
Un clúster de inteligencia artificial hace 2 años para correr un sistema como Gamma o Llama, que tiene billones de parámetros, costaba $1 millón. O sea, $1 millón para tener el poder de procesamiento, GPU y CPU, para poder correr ese clúster. Eso fue en el 2022. El año pasado, yo corrí sistemas de inteligencia artificial de manera experimental dentro de una de las oficinas con una computadora de $5,000. Publicamos un paper de 25 páginas al respecto de cómo hicimos eso. No pasaron 2 meses. 2 meses y Nvidia anunció que el costo del GPU que a nosotros nos había costado $2,500 ahora solamente vale $500 y que por los $2,500 que valía el GPU que utilizamos anteriormente, ahora usted tiene 3 veces el poder de lo que tenía anterior. En esa misma conferencia, el CEO de Nvidia dijo que estaba presentando la primera supercomputadora de producción masiva con un costo solamente de $3,000. Si nosotros tenemos sistemas bancarios, por ejemplo, en Puerto Rico, que utilizan sus propios procesadores porque es información sumamente delicada, ¿por qué las instituciones educativas, ahora que estos precios han bajado, no podemos instalar supercomputadoras de $3,000, $4,000 que quizás en 2 meses o 3 vayan a tener un costo menor? O sea que la contestación a esa pregunta es que nosotros estamos gastando hoy día en contratos de tier party mucho más dinero de lo que costaría correrlo localmente. Y eso, ustedes lo saben, los que trabajan en instituciones educativas, tanto IDP, la Interamericana, la Universidad de Puerto Rico, paga millones de dólares para tener acceso a cuentas de Microsoft, por ejemplo, ¿verdad? Y en ese servicio, nosotros le estamos regalando los datos a esas compañías que después nos aumentan los precios porque mover esos datos de esa compañía a otra es virtualmente imposible. ¿Verdad? Hacer ese cambio es imposible. La pregunta es que si en la era de la inteligencia artificial, donde podemos hacer eso a menor costo de manera local, vamos a seguir amarrados a ese tipo de compañía.
Sí, sí. Muchas gracias. Buena respuesta. De hecho, yo pienso que el problema más que los sistemas es la gente, es el personal humano, ¿verdad? Que tienes que tener alguien como, por ejemplo, tú desarrollaste ese sistema, porque tú sabes, tienes el conocimiento. Alguien más no lo podría haber hecho. O sea, que el problema es el entrenamiento, la educación de esos sistemas.
Sí, una de las cosas que hemos estado trabajando hace 2 años, el gobierno de Puerto Rico, a través del DIDEC, dio una cantidad de fondos exuberantes en la que estamos participando varias instituciones en Puerto Rico porque una de las escasez que tenemos es personas con peritaje en el área de programación, principalmente en el área de inteligencia artificial. Varias de las instituciones que estamos aquí estamos colaborando con el gobierno de Puerto Rico para desarrollar la mano de obra que necesitamos en los próximos años para tener ese personal diestro. No solamente porque quizás la universidad lo vamos a necesitar, sino que toda la industria lo va a necesitar. Pero sí, es cierto, necesitamos desarrollar ese peritaje.
Sí, gracias. Y mi última pregunta, well, my last question goes for Jorge. Very, very interesting. Jorge, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank Wonderful. You're the provost of Lehman, and I'm just wondering, you're either going to be teaching a class, so you're just not have enough work to do as a provost there.
Well, the reality is that it's the best way for you to really understand and be able to serve your faculty better.
And absolutely, absolutely. I'm sorry for the question. I couldn't hold myself there, but no, I wonder if you could comment a little bit on. Your presentation was really, really useful for me because it just allowed me to see in practical terms, really, how do you build a system? So thank you very much for that. But I'm just wondering, how do you propagate this knowledge across your faculty, across the institution? How do you help the institution to incorporate this new technology into the curriculum so that the students now are actually benefiting from that? I know that the University of Florida is becoming the AI institution, right? I mean, they made a decision to do that globally. So could you address that briefly?
Sure. So in several ways. The first one is via our investment in the Center for Teaching and Learning at Lehman, where we have started a series of weekly seminars, almost weekly seminars on the AI applications. I will mention one textbook that we have been offering to our faculty. I used it myself. It's titled Teaching with AI, and it's written by Jose Antonio Bowen. Some of you know of him. He was the former president of Goucher College. Excellent tool. So we offer this at no cost to any member of the faculty who is interested. The second thing we do, we want to make sure that this is not a mandated process, but rather one that professors and faculty are willing to embark on, that they are interested in looking at ways in which they can use tools like this one to incorporate AI into their classroom. So for instance, in my class, the Principles of Management, I am exploring a series of exercises that will actually encourage students to use AI to develop a business plan, to develop a marketing plan, to do an assessment of a financial statement or a prospectus. The other book that I would definitely recommend and that we are offering to our faculty is this one. It's called AI for Good. If you have not seen it, it is a phenomenal book that tells you how you could use AI to improve the world, including education, of course. And the third one is we are developing an AI lab at Lehman College. So it will be a computer lab fully dedicated to having as many platforms, AI platforms as possible, so that the faculty and the staff and even students can go there and can explore with the proprietary tools, the pro versions of many of these tools, so that they can see where can they take it to what level they can take it. On the other end, on the academic end, we just announced that we are launching a Bachelor of Science in our computer science department on data science and artificial intelligence. So to Jose's earlier point, we need to develop this expertise. Our students need it. Our students will require it to be competitive in the workforce. So those are some of the initiatives we're leading.
Thank you very much, Jorge. We appreciate it. So I think at this point we offer the, okay. So Sunil has a question.
Yes.
First of all, thank you to all the panelists. They're very informative. And I think the analogy about this being an ultimate equalizer, using the world as flat, is great, but it's also a blade that cuts another way. If our students are not prepared for the world of work in which skill sets are amplified by AI exponentially in accounting, in paralegal studies, even in health sciences and STEM, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we can integrate AI into a skill-based application beyond study and resource tools, but really into their field of study so that they're prepared for the world of work and they're not caught at a disadvantage from private institutions or other institutions that can better prepare students to use AI, leverage it, because the entry-level jobs are starting to be impacted immediately. The next level are mid-scale, mid-level jobs. And I'm fearful that if we don't integrate it into our degree maps, guided pathway models, we're at a severe disadvantage in our students. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Bueno, una de las cosas, y Jorge lo mencionó muy bien, nosotros tenemos que comenzar a observar cómo planificamos la educación. Y como bien mencionas, debería ser algo across the board, ¿verdad? En todo el currículo. Y una de las cosas que tenemos que ir pensando es que cuando nosotros como docentes planificamos nuestra clase o cuando planificamos nuestro currículo desde antes de llegar a la sala de clase, tenemos que pensar que estas tecnologías existen y que van a ser parte del trabajo. Cuando nosotros lo pensamos de esa forma, trabajamos las tareas, la adquisición de destreza de una forma distinta. Porque no es solamente que yo vaya al laboratorio de química y sepa utilizar los equipos físicos que estoy utilizando allí, sino que en algún momento puedo integrar o hacer análisis anteriores con inteligencia artificial, pero tenemos que comenzar a trabajar la mentalidad científica, el método científico. Nosotros utilizamos un término que se llama confianza cero, que es del área de IT, y lo movemos al área de inteligencia artificial. ¿Qué significa? Que como esto es una cosa, yo no puedo tener confianza, es una herramienta como cualquier otra, y entonces yo tengo que triangular. Entonces ahí es que entra el área de pensamiento crítico. La inteligencia artificial me dijo X, ¿cómo yo pruebo X? Y eso se vuelve parte del proceso educativo en cualquier especialidad. Yo puedo hacer un brainstorming para ingeniería mecánica y la inteligencia artificial me va a ayudar a adelantar los procesos. En algún momento voy a tener que hacer pruebas matemáticas para saber que ese proceso va a funcionar antes de gastarme el dinero en los materiales. Y luego que yo valido con la inteligencia artificial y luego valido con mi proceso matemático, de mi conocimiento previo, entonces va la tercera prueba, que está la triangulación, donde entonces yo tomo los materiales y creo lo que la inteligencia artificial me dijo que creara, ¿verdad? Y ese proceso es sumamente importante en todas las áreas del saber, ¿verdad? Yo puedo desarrollar un libro completo con inteligencia artificial. ¿Qué es lo que valida que tiene uso, que tiene utilidad para el público en general? Mi conocimiento previo. Mi conocimiento previo me ayuda a evaluar. Me acelera muchísimo el procedimiento de escritura, pero yo tengo que tener una validación externa y ahí es que viene la triangulación. Cuando nosotros comencemos a utilizar esta mentalidad de investigador, pero en todas las clases, nos vamos a dar cuenta que no es algo de la inteligencia artificial. Nos vamos a dar cuenta que así debimos enseñar siempre. Siempre tenemos que enseñarle a los estudiantes a que duden de todo lo que leen, de todo lo que ven, de todo lo que escuchan y del profesor que le da la clase. Eso es pensamiento crítico.
Sí, perfecto. We have another question. Yes.
Okay, so in my role as a president, I'm concerned about the lack of ethical commitment
ethical use of artificial intelligence. So I came to the university with the mindset that I was going to consult my community. I did consult my community about a proposed commitment to ethical use of AI. And since I have a particular community that is very artistic, many of them resented that I would even consider inserting the discussion about AI at the university. So my question is for all of you, how do we go about this, giving a framework to the community about how are you going to use these tools? I think it's necessary. Do you or don't you?
So I wonder who would volunteer to answer that. Tanya, or us make a comment. Jose, Jorge.
Yeah, I could if you want. I can start addressing that point. It's a very common reaction from many members of the faculty, as Tanya mentioned. I would call that the approach of artificial intelligence 1.0 in academia. I think the faculty, as they start exploring the potential uses that are ethical, and they teach, as was mentioned earlier, they teach students how to adequately use AI. That does require a lot of effort. You have to rethink the way you teach. You have to rethink the type of assessment, the type of dynamic that you use in class. It's an entirely new world. Now we are
Mr.
moving
Silva,
to.
it was the students mostly who were really, they were dismayed that I would even think about using AI or bringing the subject because they felt like AI steals their work. Many of them are artists.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they see it as an affront to their art and to creativity.
And that is probably what I would call AI 2.0, as students even start using the tools, they will realize, particularly in the creative arts, that there is no substitute for the human element in the creative process. There will be, no doubt, opportunities for creatives, for artists to utilize the tools and enhance their work. I have talked to professional musicians, I have talked to painters, I have talked to photographers, videographers, and what they are doing in this 2.0 phase is identifying the ways in which the tools can allow them to be even more creative. That tool can allow them to explore a theme that then, with the human touch, the only capacity that humans can have to extend the creativity, they can do even a better job. So I understand there is doubt. I understand there is worry. I understand there is concern. But let's be clear. This is happening. No one will stop this. So we need to be very intentional, very strategic in how we ensure that students and faculty and staff know how to use it, how they can maximize it, how they can reduce the use of tasks that probably do not have or add as much value. Think of an artist. The artist provides the highest value during the creative process. There are things that could be automized, and they will definitely be, but it needs to be taken with significant information and investment in resources for them.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to make one more question. Do any of your institutions have a policy about how the institution is supposed to, or how the personnel, the community is supposed to use AI ethically?
Quiero aportar a la pregunta anterior. Sí, sé de varias instituciones educativas en Puerto Rico que están ya trabajando con estas políticas. He tenido el placer, ¿verdad?, de colaborar como asesor con varias instituciones para desarrollar esas políticas, incluyendo la Universidad de Puerto Rico, en la que trabajo. Respecto a la pregunta anterior, ¿verdad?, siendo del área a nivel de bachillerato, del área de la música y del área de las artes plásticas y las artes visuales, me sorprende un poco la reacción de los estudiantes porque como docente, yo le diría a los estudiantes, y eso es un vocabulario de liderazgo que podemos utilizar tanto con la facultad como los estudiantes, es que la pregunta misma o la resistencia misma es un desconocimiento de los fundamentos del arte. Cuando inventaron la cámara fotográfica, eso transformó en cómo se hace la pintura. Porque desde el punto de vista artístico, la cámara fotográfica era una amenaza a la representación realista que se hacía del arte, ¿verdad? De la naturaleza. Todos estos pintores del Renacimiento lo que hacían era replicar la naturaleza lo más fiel y exactamente posible. Y llega la cámara fotográfica y dice, ya yo puedo hacer eso en un segundo con un clic. Pues entonces, ¿qué hago ahora? Y de momento Picasso, que era un pintor realista y la gente no lo sabe, fue estudiante del realismo y de momento dice, pues entonces ya esto no vale, pues déjame romper con la realidad y hacer algo distinto. Y eso es arte. El arte es la búsqueda de cambiar los paradigmas. Entonces, cuando mezclamos esto con lo que dijo Jorge, que es que se vuelve un estándar del mercado, es qué yo puedo crear artísticamente con estas herramientas para brindar valor, ¿verdad? Porque el arte no se da en un vacío, se da, ¿verdad?, dentro del valor. Pero sí, volviendo a la segunda pregunta, ¿verdad? Se han hecho trabajos de desarrollo. He tenido el placer, ¿verdad?, de capacitar a muchos docentes en todas las universidades en Puerto Rico. Y una de las cosas que hemos tenido que llegar a los fundamentos es qué es ética, ¿verdad? Porque cuando comenzamos a hablar de la ética y cuando comenzamos a hablar de la moral, y tenemos una tecnología tan novedosa como esta, hay cosas que son cambios culturales, ¿verdad? Son cambios dentro de la mente del ser humano. Por ejemplo, que usar inteligencia artificial no es plagio en sí mismo, porque el plagio es una palabra legal que tiene unas implicaciones de la apropiación de la propiedad de otra persona. Y la inteligencia artificial no es una persona, por lo tanto no es plagio. Eso no quiere decir que sea ético utilizarla o no, pero plagio no es, ¿verdad? Y eso es lo curioso, ¿verdad? También definiciones como lo que es propiedad. Si yo utilizo un cincel para crear una escultura en un bloque, yo soy el creador de esa escultura. Pero si utilizo una inteligencia artificial para crear una imagen, también soy el creador de esa imagen, ¿verdad? Ese tipo de estudio profundo del lenguaje, de lo que significa ética, está variando mucho. Tenemos que estudiarlo de manera bien profunda y es algo de las que las instituciones han tenido mucho cuidado porque no queremos bloquear el uso de inteligencia artificial porque es una destreza a adquirir, pero tampoco queremos decir que todo el uso de inteligencia artificial es ético, ¿verdad? Así que sí, estamos en ese desarrollo. ¿Cómo?
No te escuchas.
Aquellos que conocemos de cómo funciona la inteligencia artificial se alimenta de datos existentes. Por lo tanto, de cierta manera, sí. Y yo en ese sentido entiendo el punto de vista de mis estudiantes. De cierta manera, sí está nutriéndose de trabajos originales de otros autores. Y esto es una conversación que yo sé que en un punto se torna filosófica, pero tienen su punto. Ellos tienen
Sí,
su
sí.
punto.
Y la contestación es bien simple. El cerebro humano también se nutre de los trabajos de otra gente. Esto no quiere decir que cada vez que creamos algo estemos plagiando. Por eso estudiar la ética es bien importante. Y a mí siempre me ha estado bien curioso. Yo tengo varias capacitaciones, varios cursos, y el curso de ética del uso de la inteligencia artificial es en el menos que se matriculan. Todo el mundo quiere aprender a utilizar la inteligencia artificial, pero nadie quiere estudiar la ética. Se lo dice la persona que dio la capacitación del Departamento de Justicia de Puerto Rico y el de Seguridad Pública de Puerto Rico. No soy abogado, pero he tenido estas discusiones con fiscales, jueces, porque esto tiene implicaciones en los derechos de autor y propiedad intelectual. Así que el análisis que hemos hecho es profundo y podemos, ¿verdad?, seguir, va a seguir desarrollándose. O sea, va a seguir desarrollándose.
Thank you very much, Jose. Any other questions?
Well, I don't have any other questions, just good comments that they love the conversation. I don't know, in the floor, we have a minute for at least one more question on the floor, here in person.
Are we out of time now?
Yes,
Okay.
so you can conclude if you want.
Well, thank you again. Please join me in thanking the speakers. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to our panelists for this remarkable participation. I want to welcome Juvelkis for the special recognition to our panelists.
Thank you so much to Carlos, our board member who volunteered for being the moderator. He's always a plus because he's fully bilingual, so he can manage both languages. So thank you so much. But now we want to give a humble gift to Tonja first. If you come over here, please, Tonja. Thank you so much for and then, of course, to Jose, who came all the way down from Mayagüez without even having lunch to come here. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Albert, está esperando. Pero espérate, espera, ponga para acá. Que tú te eches para acá. Ay, yo no quiero. Eso está pegado, qué chévere.
Te quedas en el medio aquí.
Ok, sí, verdad. Ahora. Thank you so much. Again. And to Jorge, he is in Lima, but don't worry, when I go to New York, we have to see each other if you come into Puerto Rico, so you can, I will mail you your gift, but also to appreciate it in person. Okay, thank you so much. And Albert will share the last announcements, and we are ready to adjourn this open plenary of the Virtual Best Practices 2025 Virtual Best Practices Showcase. Thank you, Albert.
So now we invite you for those participants. Espérate, que estoy. Okay, with this panelist presentations and meaningful discussion, we officially declare open the HETS 2025 Virtual Best Practices Showcase. We encourage you to connect and watch all the presentations live and asynchronous, and invite others to register to participate. This panel session is being recorded and will be available on the conference program webpage. We invite you to join us tomorrow, January 17th, for our track winners live presentation starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Atlantic Time, or Puerto Rico time, as we mentioned here. Finally, thank you all for accepting HETS invitation to participate in its 2025 Virtual Best Practices Showcase. We hope you can benefit tremendously from the resources and opportunities available for you during this virtual conference. Remember to click on the conference program webpage and write the passcode to connect to all live sessions and access the asynchronous presentations. Finally, please submit your feedback on the electronic survey sent to your email. Your feedback is truly valuable to HETS. Nuevamente, muchas gracias. And once again, thank you so much for joining this virtual conference.
Thank you so much. And tomorrow at 9 a.m. Puerto Rico time, we will have the track winner panels. We hope that you can join us. You just need to register to receive the link to connect. Take care and until tomorrow or next time. Bye-bye.